Welcome to the very first episode of the Balls and Goals podcast. We are your two hosts. My name is Ian. I'm joined with one of my very best friends, Jamie. Jamie, how are you doing today, bro?
I'm doing very good today. It was a good, I'd say, weekend of football, so a nice way to start, I guess, the podcast on.
It was. So before we get into it, I just want to say that at least for now, we're just going to be covering Premier League stuff. In the future, we'll probably branch out, but at least for now, just while we get started and find our feet, it's going to be Premier League for now. But as you said, there was a few surprising results on the weekend. For example, Liverpool drew 1-1 to Burnley. I don't think anyone saw that happening. I mean, Liverpool are, what are they? They're fourth right now. And Burnley are 19th. So
I think it's like...
that was a bit of a surprising result.
Yeah, I think the one thing about it is you kind of have it that there's still this whole Liverpool United thing going on, and when United drew with Burnley, it was this whole thing of we're brutal, like United are brutal with, I guess, drawn with relegation team, and then Liverpool have after going doing it as well. So it's kind of gas how turns of tables, if they say.
It's pretty funny. In fairness, a good positive for that game though is that Wirtz scored again. Everyone was clowning him at the start of the season, for the first, I think it was like 8 or 9 games, something like that. He didn't have any goal contributions, and now I think in the last 7 or so, he's got like 5 or 6 contributions, which is, from going from the first 8 or 9 games of nothing, then to the last 7 with nearly 1 a game. That's a pretty good improvement for anyone, especially for 150 mil. Or whatever his price was.
However many games at the start of the season without a goal, then I don't think he scored his first Liverpool Premier League goal until the 27th or the 12th. And
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that he scored then against Fulham, Barnsley and Burnley.
He's on a run. And I mean, for the money that they paid from, you would expect that eventually he'd have this kind of return, but I think people demanded it a lot quicker than is reasonable, really.
Yeah, I guess he is still a young player trying to adapt to the league, so it's kind of a lot of pressure on him for being I'd say the most expensive person I've seen going to Liverpool in a long time.
I think he's one of the top expensive transfers of Premier League in general. I think he's was 150 or like 120 million pounds or 150 million pounds. Something like that.
I think they paid more for him than Isak, didn't they?
I think for Isak, I'm looking here, it was 144 euro for Isak, and then 95 for Ekitike, and then 125 for Wirtz. So Wirtz was actually cheaper than Isak. Which is crazy. I think, I don't know. I think Isak broke his leg, then he's expected to come back in April. I mean, you got to feel for him. He was just starting to find his feet as well. He played 10 games, has 2 goals and 1 assist. He was starting to find his feet and then breaks his leg. I mean, that's got to be tough for anyone.
I think it's kind of cruel because he was niggled, I think, with an injury at the start of the season as well, and then he came back and started getting into the squad and then injured again. So it's not really a good start to his Liverpool career, but hopefully, as he said, in April, he's back just before the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, just before the end of the season, by that point, I think some of the bigger players in the squad will might be getting rested, depending on where Liverpool finish at that point in the season. Maybe some of the bigger players will start getting less minutes coming up to the World Cup in the States. He might get more time then if some of the other players are sitting out for a while. Who knows? Hopefully he comes back doing strong because, well, I mean, you don't want to wish anything bad on any player, especially for the price tag and the pressure he already has on him. A broken leg is not going to do him any favors. A few more surprising results. This one's going to get someone in hot water. So West Ham beat Tottenham 2-1. Now, for context, before we keep going here, we are talking about game week, I think 22 is the one that we just had. Yeah, Game Week 22. It is currently the 19th of January. The only game we're not really going to touch on is the game of Brighton and Bournemouth because it hasn't happened yet. So can't talk about the result. But everything else we're going to touch on. So yeah, West Ham and Tottenham. I mean, it's not like Tottenham are necessarily on a title charge, but to be beaten by West Ham in the relegation zone, again, it kind of raises some flags with Thomas Frank. I mean, yeah, with players like Son leaving and last couple of years, I mean, Harry Kane left, like 3 years ago by now?
Yeah.
So
I think
it's,
the one thing
it's
is
not looking
I'm
good.
not kind of surprised by West Ham's kind of change in form because they ended up getting Nuno de Santos or Nuno Espirito Santos as their manager,
Yeah.
and he was already doing something at Forest, and it was kind of that controversy between the owner and him, which
Yeah.
caused him to end up getting more or less, well, I think he left and got sacked at the same time. So,
Yeah.
he
I don't really
turned,
know which it was, but
yeah,
yeah.
like he turned a bang average Forest side into, I think they're in Europe, aren't they?
Uh, Not this year. They're currently sitting 17th, Nottingham Forest, with 22 points.
Yeah, but I
So I
think,
think
yeah, they're
last year they
in,
finished top 5 or top 4
yeah,
last
but
year,
they're actually in
I
Europa
believe.
League this year, and that's what he did, and then they got rid of him. And then West Ham took him on. And I think if you look at the table now, West Ham are on 17 points. And who's ahead of them? 17th? Forest with 22.
Yeah, Forest at 22, and then Leeds are ahead of them with 25. So
Yeah, but
West
it's
Ham
just,
are at least 5 points underneath the safe zone. And even then,
I think, if Nuno kind of keeps them going the way they're going, I wouldn't be surprised if that was an L swap around there in the table of West
yeah.
Ham
I
first.
mean, it could be possible. 5 points isn't a huge gap. I mean, that's a win. That's 2 wins. If Nottingham Forest win, or sorry, if West Ham win their next 2 and Nottingham Forest lose, swap places. That's not a huge gap, really. And I mean, the bottom few of the Premier League, the bottom 5-ish or so, there really isn't that many points between them. I mean, between relegation zone West Ham and 15th place Bournemouth, there's 9 points. It's not a huge gap. Really, anyone could still get them. We're only halfway through. I mean, well, just over halfway through. There's still about 5-6 months left. The zone could change. I mean, the only thing that's not going to change, Wolves are probably going down.
Yeah, that's kind of a given.
Almost guaranteed. But anyone else could turn around. I mean, what, you have Bournemouth at 26, Tottenham 27, Crystal Palace 28. I feel like once you get sort of towards 12th place Brighton, who are on 29, then it starts to become a little bit like you're not really going to see much of a swap above maybe. I think from Tottenham down, you could see some changes. But you never know. It could be surprised. It might stay the same.
Yeah, like
Hard
I
to
guess.
tell.
Yeah, like it's such a big change compared to last season. How you had Bournemouth like kind of near, like in the top half of the table. You had Crystal Palace in the top half, and they had great starts to the season. And then whatever, now they've just absolutely done a flip. Like Brentford now, have after taking a kind of good run of form, and Sunderland,
They
who are
have,
only
yeah.
newly promoted, are doing absolutely mental stuff.
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected Sunderland to be so high. I mean, I think the last couple of weeks they were higher in the table. They're sitting 9th right now, which is pretty good for, like you said, newly promoted. Most people would expect them to probably sit around the kind of 12th to 15th mark. But they were in, I think, top 4, top 3 for a couple of weeks, and then they only recently kind of dropped off. But they're doing extremely well for themselves. Really, really well. Which, I don't think a lot of people expected. They've been on a run. Their last kind of 6 or 7 games, mostly draws. A win here and there, a 3-0 loss to Brentford, and a 3-0 loss to City a few weeks ago. Other than that, they seem to be in somewhat decent form, mostly draws and losses. But yeah, they're doing very well for themselves.
Yeah,
I think better than most people expected.
Yeah, and I think they've bet the teams they've bet, like what was it? Like they've bet the teams they've had to beat, if that makes sense. It's kind of,
Mm,
you don't want it where you're not beating the relegation sides. Like you see, looking at the
yeah.
results, they bet Brentford already at this season, drew with
Mm,
Villa, like and they're third in the league. They bet
yeah.
Forest, Wolves, even bet Chelsea.
They
So
did. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good
it's
string of
good. I
results. Yeah.
think, yeah, it's better for them to have more D's and W's than else.
Exactly. I mean, if you're newly promoted, you'd want. I think as long as you stay up, it doesn't matter how many draws you get. As long as you stay up. If I
Exactly.
was
Yeah.
them, I'd certainly be happy with more draws than losses. I mean, I'd rather carry at least 1 point than drop all of them. So for sure, I'd be happy with that as well if I was them. I think.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, another somewhat surprising result. Nottingham Forest drew Arsenal 0-0. No scores there. For
Mm,
context, currently Arsenal are sitting top of the league on 50 points, and Nottingham Forest, as we said there a few minutes ago, Nottingham Forest are sitting at 17th, just 5 points above the relegation zone. That was
yeah.
a bit of a surprise, I think.
Yeah, and I
Arsenal have been
guess,
on, yeah,
yeah, like I guess with Arsenal's form, it's quite. I don't know. They're getting to this phase now in the season which they always get to, where things get a bit
mm.
dodgy. Like I remember watching the Wolves game and Arsenal, and going into that game, you thought, "Geez, like Arsenal are going to demolish them," and then that ended up being a
Mm.
draw.
Yeah,
And
they're
mm,
having surprising results. Not in a bad way. Some are great. I mean, earlier this year, I'm looking at their win history. Earlier this year they beat Bayern Munich 3-1 in the Champions League. They they're having a good run Champions League. They beat Aston Villa 4-1 on December, just before New Year's Day. They beat Chelsea there 3-2 about 2 weeks ago. I saw a result there as well that I thought was interesting. Where was it? They beat Atletico Madrid 4-0 in Champions League back in October. They're having amazing games this season.
yeah,
And I think it starts to raise some questions. Could this be the year that they finally do it? I
yeah, like
mean,
they actually bet Wolves in that game. They scored in the last minute.
mm,
But I think
yeah,
that's the thing that you need to do as a, I guess, title contention team, is to get them last minute goals to win your games. And it's not like,
yeah,
say, they're battering people 5 or 6 nil like how City used to do with their grind and out the results. And I guess,
yeah,
look, you kind of have to respect it after years of just seeing City and Liverpool going at it the last few
yeah,
seasons.
yeah.
It
I
wouldn't be
think
bad for a bit of a change.
no, no. I mean, I went back and looked at Arsenal's finishes for the last 3 seasons before this. So last year they finished second on 74 points, 10 points behind Liverpool. The year before that, they finished second again, just 2 points behind City. And in the 22-23 season, they finished second again, 5 points behind City. So the last 3 years in a row, they've come second.
Mm,
And, usually they say once you reach the halfway point of the season, which is around kind of Boxing Day, New Year's Day, depending on however the season falls, whichever team is top of the table at that point is not guaranteed, but has really good chances of winning the thing at the very end.
yeah.
I mean, Arsenal are top right now at 50, but City and Villa are not that far behind with 43 each. I
Mm,
mean, like we said a few minutes ago, that's 2 wins and a draw, and they're level. Um, and I mean, we know Arsenal the last couple of years, they're not immune to a loss here and there. They're not immune
yeah.
to the pressure getting to them. I mean, right now it looks like they're rock solid, but you never know. You never know what could happen. I guess for the sake of their history, I think it'd be cool to see them win it. But who knows what's going to happen? I mean, there's still, like you said a few minutes ago as well, 5 or 6 months till the end of the season. That's a lot of time for change. A lot of time.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, it's not like, well, I guess you could say that they have any easy fixtures, but it's more that can they be consistent? Like I seen Gabrielle was saying that they're kind of sick of finishing seasons with nothing to show for it.
Mm.
And like as you said, they finished second 3 times out of the last 5 seasons. And if you kind of look at their kind of end of the season results, the only big
Mm.
teams that you can kind of say really they have to play to contend with it is Man City, because they've
Yeah.
played already Liverpool or Villa twice. They've
Mm.
already played Liverpool twice.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like United are next week. Who
Yeah. On the
knows? Is it a
25th.
resurgence of United to somehow do more
Yeah.
damage up in the top of the table? But I don't
Who
know. I
knows?
just don't see a way of them somehow losing it. But yeah, I guess you never know with Arsenal.
Exactly. You never know. I mean, the next few games in the league are, I'm not going to say easy, but it seems like a possible good run. So, like you said, they've United next, and we'll get to that result in a few minutes. I mean, who knows what situation United will be in by that point with the manager, if Michael Carrick will still be the guy, if they'll have someone else take over. So I guess depending on who's managing by then might change our prediction for that. But then after United in the league, they have Leeds, Chelsea, Sunderland, and then Brentford. The next 5 games, they're not necessarily, I don't want to say easy and I don't want to say difficult, but I think they could drop points in there. They could.
Mhm.
I mean, like I said, Sunderland are surprise finishes, well, not finishes, but surprise contenders for top 10. I mean, I don't think we saw them finish in top 10. Chelsea seem to be picking it up recently as well. And I mean, United, like we said, we'll get to that result soon. But if they perform on the 25th the way they did the other day, Arsenal could be in trouble with that fixture, which again could start a few games in a row of, maybe if they lose against United, they might drop points against Chelsea as well or Leeds.
Mm. I think
Who
the one
knows?
thing
Who
about
knows?
Arsenal is they've kind of, when they have lost, they have kind of bounced back in their form, or even when they've gotten their draws. Like,
Yeah.
I guess if you look at when they started the season, they had United in the first game of the league and won 1-0. Their first loss was against Liverpool on the 31st of the 8th, but that was only 1-0,
Yeah.
and then went on to be undefeated till they played Villa on the 6th of the 12th. So they ended up
It's a
going,
long line.
yeah,
Yeah.
they ended up going a good few months unbeaten. And that's
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 what you
what I
need.
guess you kind of have to do, because then after getting bet by Villa, they ended up winning 5 games in a row with 2 draws.
It does seem like they bounce back quite well when they suffer a setback like that. One loss, they seem to, when they lose one, they might draw the next one or two and then come back with a pretty big win.
Mm.
So it seems like they do bounce back well. I don't think they've been on a losing streak for more than 1 or 2 games so far this season.
Yes,
So
was
when they
one.
do lose, exactly, yeah, when they do lose, it's not like it's a streak. They seem to bounce back quick. Now, I mean, the draw to Nottingham Forest, it's a surprise, yeah, because, I mean, like we said, Nottingham Forest in 17th, you would expect Arsenal to kind of not walk through it, but not necessarily struggle to win, I suppose.
Mm.
But I guess they did. So, I don't know, if patterns are a thing to go by, they might draw the next one and then win the next few. And who knows? But yeah, surprising nonetheless, first place drawing with 17th. I don't think anyone, well, maybe some, but I don't know. Based on the form for this year, I wouldn't have thought that Nottingham Forest would draw or get anything out of that game. But
Yeah, I think it's
there
more
you
that
go.
game for Arsenal was more, I think, of like if you look at who they
Mm,
played people that normally didn't really, well, their attack anyways, they wouldn't start. Like they had Martinelli and Madueke on the wings.
mm,
So you could kind of say that that wasn't their best wingers that they had on, and you have
yeah.
Gyökeres up front. Like he's had another kind of, he's like Wirtz. He's had a bit of a struggling season so far, and when you think he's about to get off the mark, then he doesn't.
Yeah,
And it kind of it's a strange one because I guess what do they focus on? Are they focusing on the Premier League? Are they focusing on Champions League? Are they trying to focus on the
yeah,
cups? Like for winning
yeah,
so much, is it like it's kind of what would Arsenal like to finish the season off with one
yeah.
major Premier League trophy or a major Champions League trophy, or do they want both?
Hmm. I think they're. If I was them, honestly, I think I would maybe nearly focus on the Premier League this year. Although they have done extremely well in the Champions League so far as well. Like we said, they beat Bayern Munich. Declan Rice had those two stunning free kicks against Real Madrid earlier this season as well. It's not like they're performing bad in either competition. But I think for fighting so hard to win the Premier League the last few years, I almost feel like they want to win that more for now, at least for this year.
Mm.
I mean, if they get far in the Champions League, great. I'm sure they won't say no to that. I'm sure they'll be really, really happy. But I think they probably want to win the Premier League for now. And I mean, like you're saying, they've Madueke and Gyökeres with Martinelli up front. I just checked Gyökeres' stats. And in 20 games this season so far, he has 5 goals, which, yeah, it's not what they would have wanted. They obviously would have wanted more. Because last year he had 52 games for Sporting Lisbon and he scored 54 goals with 12 assists. But we have to remember that was the Portuguese league. Nothing against that league, but it's not the Premier League. And
Yeah, and I think
I
that's
remember,
like, it's kind of, I don't know. You have Bruno who came from the Portuguese league to the Premier League, and I guess his first season was okay-ish, and then he started
yeah,
finding more form. It's just, I don't know. You have Gyökeres who played Championship football for Coventry,
yeah,
and then went away to Sporting, and now he's come back and he's in the Premier League with it. I guess such high expectations because of, as you said, where Arsenal are in the league being top. They expect him to be a top striker, but he probably hasn't
sure,
been given the time with how everyone is focusing on Arsenal because this is their one
yeah.
season they're gonna do it. That he's like, oh geez, I'm not scoring this week. Everyone's gonna be pointing the finger, and it just builds up pressure on him.
Of course. I mean, he was an expensive transfer for the time as well. I can't remember the exact figure. Let me see if I can find it here. So the exact figure that he joined Sporting Lisbon from was 64 million euro, which that's a lot of money. But it's not Ekitike money. It's not Isak money. It's not Wirtz money. A lot of money still. But I suppose he doesn't have the pressure of being the most expensive signing of the window. So maybe that took a little bit off him. I think at the time he was signed, I think maybe he was one of the most expensive, but then Liverpool obviously went in their fucking crazy transfer run where they just seemed to sign everyone for 100 million.
Yeah,
But
like to spend
yeah,
400 million, I think it was, in a transfer
it's
window
crazy.
is,
Crazy.
I've never seen anything like it before.
No. And like you said, I mean, Gyökeres, he's a great player. And I remember saying to myself before he joined, if he has a season even half as good as the one in Lisbon, it'll be a great season. The Portuguese league and the Premier League are very different. Like you said, when Bruno first joined, don't want to say that he struggled, but he took a while to adapt and learn how to best play to his own strengths with the team that he's a part of. Can't expect Gyökeres to perform amazing immediately. That's not like, even some of the best players take some time to adapt. I mean, like we said Wirtz a few minutes ago. I know it's not the same because he has picked up his performances now, but he was a great player at Leverkusen. He helped them to one of their first league wins, Bundesliga wins in years, and then everyone was clowning on him because he went 9 games in a row without a contribution. That's not that bad. I mean, he picked it up after, I don't know, like 17 games or 15 games, something like that. And he's been doing great ever since. I feel like once Gyökeres maybe finds his feet and learns how to work his strengths best with the team, maybe he will start being a goal machine again. But I think it's unfair to expect that now. It's going to take time. It's unfair to expect that. You know,
Yeah,
we're
and it's
still.
kind of I feel like Arsenal are one team that have, since Thierry Henry and all, like they have not, I don't think, had a standout striker. Like, they've
I
brought
don't
in
think so.
players like Aubameyang. They have Jesus, who's kind of getting back into form now after his injury, but
Yeah.
it's not like they have someone racking up over 20 plus goals a season.
Yeah. It seems like most positions on the pitch for them are solid. And then the striker is one that they just seem to really be lacking in. I mean, they had Kai Havertz, who worked out for a while, but like wasn't spectacular at that position. They had Aubameyang, who for years was their goal scorer. You know, he got close to the Golden Boot every year. I think 1 or 2 years he won it as well. He was very, very good for them. And then since he sort of dropped in his performances and moved on to other clubs, it seems they've kind of struggled to fill that gap. Gabriel Jesus, like you said, was in good form for the first couple of months that he joined. And then he had a bad injury. And then it seems like every time he comes back, he gets injured again and then has to come back and do it all again. So I think Arsenal are kind of dealing with a bit of a problem in that position. But maybe when Gyökeres finds his feet and performs well, maybe that trouble will be gone. Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows
and
what
that's
can
the
happen?
thing. It's like, I feel when you play in the Premier League, when you join for big money or for a standout club, you get kind of pointed at for ages.
Yeah.
And it's like when you're in bad form, people let you know you're in bad form. And then it's when you start getting
Yeah.
into your good form, that's when you kind of look back at all them people and be like, look, I was still adapting
I
and
made
now
it.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, fingers crossed from and for the team, of course. I think I would like to see Arsenal win it, but at the same time, it'd be so funny if they didn't. It'd be so
Yeah.
funny if they managed to somehow bottle this again.
Yeah, like they can't have a lead that they have, a form that they have, just to throw it
Not a
all
chance.
away at the last hurdle.
Yeah. Well, this is Arsenal. You never know. They still might. They still might. But then just to quickly brush over the other results so we can move on to, I think, the most obvious, entertaining one. Sunderland drew 2-1 to Sunderland drew 2-1. Sunderland beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Again, I mean, they're both kind of, Sunderland is sort of upper mid-table at the minute. Well, upper mid, they're in top 10, 9th place. Crystal Palace is sitting right around the middle at 13th. Not a very surprising result. That's probably about what you would expect. Don't think there's anything too surprising about that right there.
Yeah, I think it's
guess the
more
only
the fact that
surprising thing.
that's the game after Glasner and Gay kind of. Glasner announcing that he's leaving, and Gay apparently left a few days before that match.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think we'll get onto that news as well in a few minutes about Guehi and Oliver Glasner as well. I think the only surprising thing is that I remember at the beginning of the season, I think me and you both watched the FA Cup final with Crystal Palace and Liverpool, and Crystal Palace looked really, really good. Yeah. So I guess I'm kind of surprised that they're in 13th right now. But I'm not surprised really that they're beaten 2-1 by Sunderland, because like we said before, Sunderland are very impressive this year for coming up. Yeah. Really, really good stuff. Other results, Leeds 1-0 Fulham. I guess Fulham are, where are they in the table? Fulham are currently sitting 11th and Leeds are 16th. I suppose you would have expected Fulham to win that one there, based on just position in the table. But Leeds, their form is picking up. I think they're starting to kind of find whatever they're doing differently. Seems to be kind of working. I mean, they were on a long run of draws from the 3rd of December all the way up to the 7th of January. They hadn't lost a game. The last loss before the 3rd of December was a 3-2 loss to Man City, and their most recent loss was 4-3 to Newcastle on the 7th. it's not like they're getting smashed. I mean,
Yeah,
those are pretty respectable results against very good opponents. 4-3 to both teams. Or
and
sorry,
I think
4-3
that's the
to
thing. Like,
wow.
I guess Fulham, they were from like what I think of them at the start of the season till kind of now is that kind of bogey team. Like if you got them on their good day, they were good, and
Yeah.
it's even worse again because Leeds are on such good form now that I guess Fulham got Leeds at the wrong time because
Yeah.
Fulham were kind of knocking down everyone and Leeds are just pulling results out of left, right, and centre. And it was a
Yeah.
90 plus minute goal to get them the win. But as we were saying with
Yeah.
Arsenal, it's the last minute goals that win you titles, and this is something probably that's gonna probably, I'd say, more than likely keep Leeds in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 90 plus one goal, like you said. And as you said, Leeds are currently sitting 16th. They are about 8 points clear of the relegation zone. That is room to breathe, but it's not like it's an impossible gap to close for relegation zone. I mean, if they keep their form up, drawing most of their games, good win every kind of 3 or 4 games, maybe a little bit more. As long as they don't lose games, I think they'll be fine. They'll probably stay up. And I think this sort of, I was having this conversation with someone before about teams that just come up from the championship. And I think it was a conversation that was interesting because a lot of these teams that come up, we often see them come up and go right back down. A few years in a row, we saw teams like, I think Southampton went up from the championship last year and then went straight back down, or the season before, rather. Teams like Burnley, again, came up, right back down, came back up, and unless they change something, they're going to go right back down. And it gets into a conversation, I think, of, this whole kind of, when these clubs come up, they don't spend huge amounts of money because they obviously can't. Financial fair play rules come into all this. And I understand that to keep the league fair, you have to have a certain amount of money. You can only spend a certain amount of money per club and their income and whatever determines how much they can spend. But I don't really think it is that fair, because you have teams like Liverpool, like you said, spending 400 million in the transfer window, and then a team like let's take Burnley for example, or Leeds. Burnley, for example, they got a player on loan from Benfica for 2 million. They got Armando Roja from Chelsea for 23 million. They got Leslie Ogochukwu for 29 million from Chelsea. Martin Dubravka, I think, was from Newcastle. It seems like they don't really have a transfer for a higher fee than about 29 million. And at that, the others are somewhat low, mostly sitting around the kind of 12 to 15 mark. And I mean, that's what we see, right? We see these clubs come up, they get 20 new lads in, but none of them are really more expensive than about 15, 20 million, about 30 in some cases. So, I sometimes hear things that some of these clubs make 50, 60 million just from coming up from the championship or something like that, but they can't spend all of it because of financial fair play. Is that, like, I think it's kind of unfair capping those teams at a low amount when they could spend more. If they have the financial backing from their owners, they're just not allowed to spend it, which is kind of a strange rule to me.
Yeah, I think I remember when, I think it was when Forest came up and they bought like 22 players or something.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's right,
And that's the thing, it's like Forest came up, did that. But the one thing, people don't realise is that the clubs that actually win the playoffs win more money than the team that gets automatic promotion.
It's probably for extra TV rights and stuff like that.
And if you look at it, if you see Sunderland, who won the playoffs, sitting ninth, and both the teams that got automatic promotion, because Burnley and Leeds finished the season in the championship both with 100 points. It was just, I think, 12 goals in between Leeds and Burnley, and
Leeds Burnley top 2, the only a plus 12 goal difference saw Leeds win first place.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, like, is it that you're better off when you're getting promoted winning the playoffs than actually getting automatic promotion? Because maybe you won't have the funding to get automatic promoted
Yeah,
and buy players to attract them to the club. Because I guess that's the thing is when you get promoted to the Premier League, you're going to be going in straight as a lower end team, and you're trying to attract
yeah.
big players to come help you stay up.
It can be tough, especially when, if you have a spending limit of, let's say, 100 million or 80 million in your first window as newly promoted. That's a lot of money, and it can get you great players. But at the same time, it can get you a lot of players, but you can really only make one or two medium to big size transfers in. It's not like you can buy a Wirtz and then again get an Ekitike and then get an Isak. It's kind of, you can maybe get one of them if you can convince them. When I say one of them, I mean a player of that similar value, market value. But like I said, we mostly just see these teams that come straight up. They just buy like 15, 20 players, absolutely blow the size of the squad to smithereens, hope they stay up. And then if they do stay up, then they get more players the next year. Maybe they stay up, maybe they go down the next year. And if they stay up, obviously they just get better and better over the years. But I think it's really unfair in a way having teams like Liverpool and City spending hundreds of millions every window, and then teams like Leeds or Burnley being capped at, I think it's something like 80 or 100 million for their first window.
Yeah, it's
I'm not sure how they determine that, but
it's not kind of fair ground. You're more or less telling them that you're going to get relegated if you don't buy or just somehow don't have anyone that's already a kind of game changer in your squad. Like Leeds were fortunate to get Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and that's kind of shown now in his form. He went, I think, what was it, 6 games in a row scoring.
I think, it was something like that. It was one of the longest goal scoring runs, I think, in Leeds' history, in their Premier League history, I think. Which, I mean, is impressive nonetheless. I mean, going on 6 or 7 runs of goals per game is impressive. He's currently the top scorer of the squad with 9. And I mean, the next top scorer after him is Lucas Nemecha with 5. So he's doing very well. I mean, a goal a game or a goal a game for about 7 games or so. It's an impressive run. I mean, that's good for any player.
And that's what I'd say. So, Everton are kind of asking, where was that when we had you? But I guess he was injured every second game for them somehow.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Everton, they beat Aston Villa 1-0 yesterday. So yesterday was Sunday. Beat them 1-0. I mean, like we said a few minutes ago, Everton are sitting at 10th, which is good for them. I think the last couple of seasons they finished kind of below the top 10 mark, I think. Don't quote me on that. And Aston Villa are 3rd. That really put a dent in their title charge. I mean, if they won that game, they would have gone to 2nd place. They would have been 2 points above City. And then they would have been just 5 behind Arsenal instead of 7. I think so. That could have put some real pressure on Arsenal if they won that game. But I'm sure the Arsenal squad are delighted to see them lose that.
Yeah,
especially with Gareth
Everton. Everton have brought this kind of back and forward form as well. Like, they are a team that just grinds out every season, and when you think they're kind of on a downward spiral, somehow Moyes has got them back up and running, and they end up getting these weird results. And your man Barry, their striker, he's just absolutely blown up out of form, and it's just such a random find. These players that you've never heard of, like, he's 23 years of age, and what is it? He's scored against Brentford, Forest as well this season. It's only in the last few games he started picking up like good form, but they're the players that kind of, I guess, get the club going, and signing Jack Grealish as well. And
back on
I think Everton are defensively also a really good side. Like, they got Tarkowski off Burnley when they got relegated. They have Jake O'Brien. They have
Michael
Keane at the
Keane
back,
is still there as well.
and
Vitaly
Pickford probably
Mikalenko.
and Pickford, number one England goalkeeper in your goal. That's
Yeah,
kind of what
yeah.
you want if you're trying to stay up every
Exactly, yeah.
season.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, they're doing, I think, better this year than they have the last couple of years, which is good for them, of course. But I think still it's impressive to beat Aston Villa 1-0, especially away from home. Everton were away. So, I mean, hats off to them. That's an impressive result for them. And I don't know. I guess they're 10th at the minute, so let's see if they finish higher than that. But I think that really put a dent in Aston Villa's title charge. They're still quite a bit ahead of Liverpool, who are 4th. They are, 7 points ahead of Liverpool, so they still have room to breathe in the top 3 as well. You'd wonder if Aston Villa go on a good enough run the next couple of games, and if Arsenal and Man City don't pick it up themselves, we might see Aston Villa win the league before Arsenal, which would be even funnier to see. That would be even funnier to see, I
Yeah,
think.
and one thing that Everton also done is Aston Villa were on an 8-game win streak at
Wow,
home
that's an
until they
impressive
played
streak.
Everton.
Mm.
So
Even better. Even
yeah,
better.
kind of Emery, I think, said he wanted to make Villa Park a fortress, and it got torn down
I
by
think they've
David
done that.
Moyes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the final 2 results before we move on to, I think, the most surprising one. Chelsea 2-0 to Brentford. I don't think there's anything too crazy there. Joao Pedro in the 26th minute. Cole Palmer with a penalty. Nothing all that too crazy, I don't think, there. That brings Chelsea up to 6th and brings Brentford up to 7th. So Chelsea are just 1 point above Brentford in the table. Chelsea are 1 point behind United, who are on 35, and they're 2 points behind Liverpool, who are on 36. So they could still be in top 4. Still realistic to think either Chelsea or Brentford or Newcastle could finish in top 4. They're really not that far away. If any of them go on a good run, that could be top 4 for them. So I think the top 4 have a pretty interesting race in their hands. But yeah, see what happens, I guess, over the next few weeks. Another somewhat interesting one, Wolves drew 0-0 to Newcastle. Obviously, we know Newcastle at the moment are sitting 8th, and Wolves are very, very bottom with 8 points. I repeat, 8 points in 22 games so far. I think at this point, it's pretty obvious Wolves are going down. Everyone knows that by now. But they have been on quite a good run last couple of games. They won. They drew against Everton 1-1 on the 7th of January, the last game week. And then they won 3-0 against West Ham about 2 weeks ago. And then they drew 1-0 to United. So the last kind of 4 Premier League games, they've gotten results. I don't think it's going to take them out the zone, but they've picked up for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's one. It's kind of, you feel bad for them because, they've kind of been in the league for such a long time, and starting off the season as bad as they kind of did, the new manager they brought in, it was going to be near impossible to instantly change their form around, and it's sadly just come a bit little too late. Like, if they're picking up these draws and wins at the start of the season, like, I know they got a draw from Tottenham and Brighton during this, but I think it's just, there's more L's than even wins and draws in that whole list of fixtures they have played.
Yeah, I mean, they've 16 losses, five draws, and 1 win. That's pretty hard to recover from. I can't really see them getting out of the zone. Now, in fairness, we still have, 14 games left in the season. Or 16, I think 38. Yeah, 38 games. So they still have 16 games. You never know. If they somehow draw every game from now to the end of the season, they might get lifted out of the zone. But that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
Probably
I think they say that the kind of safety numbers for staying in the Premier League, I'm pretty sure it's in the 30s, and they are nowhere near that.
No. I mean, we're seeing now the kind of between 13th and 17th. Crystal Palace are 13th at 28. Nottingham Forest are 17th at 22. 6 points. 30 probably is a safe amount of points. But, I mean, West Ham could take any of those spots. I think Burnley and Wolves are probably guaranteed to go down. But West Ham, you never know. They could pull out the bag. Nottingham Forest could go down. Who knows? Like we said, 16 games, loads of time to flip a result.
Yeah.
You never know what can happen in there. And now finally, the big boy of the weekend that I don't think anybody expected with recent news. Man United beat Man City 2-0 at Old Trafford. Who saw this coming? Not me. I can tell you that.
To be honest, I remember, 12:30 kickoff, and the last time United played City at a 12:30 kickoff, United won. And I guess with United's whole manager issues, and I guess everyone going at the club for getting like, it's been just a hectic time for United at the moment, and I think everyone was just, it's their downfall now. Like, this is just a season to try cling on. And I see another prediction shows on TikTok and all saying they're gonna get battered 4-0 and 3-1. Never would have seen the day that that United would go without conceding a goal to Man City with their strike force that they have.
Yeah, I mean, with City as well, just getting Semenyo from Bournemouth for, I think it was 40 million, something like that. Their strike force just got even better. I mean, at the midfield, they had Semenyo, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Jeremy Doku, and Erling Haaland. I mean, that's a good attacking lineup. They ended up bringing on Cherky. They brought on Tijani Reinders as well. I mean, that's an insane midfield and attack. That's really good. They obviously had Rodri on the pitch as well.
And somehow, that team only managed one shot on target.
Yeah. I mean, for those unaware as well, with the recent turmoil that's going on at Man United, Ruben Amorim was sacked/quit. It probably is most likely sacked, but he looked fucking delighted walking out of those offices that day. So, I mean, if I was getting 20 mil to get fired, I'd be happy as well. But Michael Carrick has taken over as caretaker manager. He was a former player from Man United. He made, He made 400 appearances for the club between 2006 to 2018. He managed the club before, a couple of years ago, for I think about 3 games. In November 2021, he managed 3 games. He got 2 wins and a draw. Obviously, now this was his first game back as interim coach. 1 game, 1 win, 2-0 win. Now, I couldn't watch the full game, but I saw the highlights, and honestly, it could have been 5-0. Man United just dominated them in that game. It could have been 5.
And I guess we're kind of saying this United that, I've seen people also saying it, that we people haven't seen in years. The counter attack, the Embuemo goal was just from a Man City free kick just outside the United box to a counter attack for them to score. We're seeing a blast of the past, and that's what Michael Carrick, I guess, is trying to bring into the squad, is that whole retro United and what they're kind of built on. And people are kind of like, how would he do it? Because, players are brought in during the summer to fit a 3 at the back, 2 kind of left wing back and right wing back. And, he's ended up playing Dorgu as a winger, and he's after getting a goal.
Yeah. It worked out well for him. Very well.
And I think I was talking to someone else, and I think it was a smart choice what he did by not starting Sesko and Cunha, because if you looked at Man City's back line, there's really no experience in that bar like Nathan Ake.
Yeah, they started with Ake at left back, Alena, I think is how you say his name, at centre back, Max Alena. He looks very young, if you ask me. They had Husanov at the other centre back position. He's that Uzbekistan centre back they purchased, I think, over the the last transfer window.
Yeah.
And then Rico Lewis at right back. I mean, like you said, that's mostly young guys. Rico Lewis, I think, is like 21. Husanov is 21 as well. And Elena, I think he's 20. Yeah, that's a lot of non-experience. They had Rodri sitting in front of them as CDM, but I really don't think that would make all that much of a difference. And clearly it didn't.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, Man United's team in the last couple of weeks that we've seen, they've been good, they've been decent, but I don't think they've been amazing, as we all know. Like, they've drawn some games they should have won, they've won some games they probably should have lost, and they've lost some games they probably should have won. But that game, I mean, they were exceptional. Like you said, Mbeumo, it was like a little tap above, I think it was Rodri's foot after that free kick inside the box. And then, you had Diallo, I think, in the middle, just behind Mbeumo running. You had Fernandez running just behind them as well. You had Ahmad on the right. You had Dorgo on the left. It was a 4-on-2, basically, to get Mbeumo's first goal.
And that's
not a chance. Defending that.
Talking about the whole AFCON with the drama, I think it wasn't like it was a great time for the Cameroon and the Ivory Coast to be knocked out, because that was a game that we needed them two players. And absolutely. It's just shown, like, Ahmed should have got himself a goal. He hit the post during that game.
Yeah.
And
he scored an offside goal as well. That's why I say it could have been 5. I think he got the first offside goal around, I think it was around the 20 or 32nd minute mark. He scored an offside goal 32nd minute mark. That could have been the first one. And then, like you said, he hit the post as well. He could have got 2 himself, if not a hat-trick even. He was
and that's
really,
the
really
thing
good.
is, you can kind of see in United's results where they didn't have them 2 players for the AFCON, because there wasn't them people creating the chances or scoring the goals. And Sesko did, in fairness, start getting his form, but then he didn't start the Man City game. And then it's kind of like, what was the decision behind that? But do you look at the game and they've ended up winning 2-0?
It worked out.
I would not be upset if I was sitting on the bench and we won 2-0,
No, absolutely not. I mean, just from watching the highlights of that game, I also noticed that it seemed like Man United were just, their passing was incredible as well. I mean, I think it was for the goal that Cunha crossed in for Dorgu. I think it was Dorgu switched it just from his side all the way up to the other side of the pitch, and it was like, wow, that is
unbelievable.
That's a really good pass. And then Cunha just sort of went around Ake like it was nothing, crossed it in. Rico Lewis didn't even know that Dorgu was behind him, took a shot in. I mean, like you said, lack of experience there, I think, shows, because if you watch those the 2 goals that Man United scored that were onside, for the first one, Rodri and Bernardo Silva are in the back line with those 4 lads running up. Rodri and Silva are not even looking at Mbeumo. They're focused fully on Bruno Fernandes, and they just kind of let Mbeumo run around them. And then that's 1-0. And then, like I said, for the second one, Rico Lewis doesn't even know that Dorgu's behind him, and he just runs up and slots it in, and then 2-0. There you go.
Yeah, and that is literally, and I think I said it before, it's United bringing that counter-attack on. Like, it literally went from, as I said, a free kick in United's half to then a counter-attack to a goal, to then, as you said, Dorgu in his own half switching the ball to Cunha, and another goal. It's phenomenal. It's only one game, and you can't really say that it's going to happen every week, but if they do play the way they did every week, they will more than likely guarantee get themselves European football. It's just, I feel like a trend with United is that, you beat Man City, and then, what is it, next of all, you end up losing to someone in the lower half of the table. Like,
it can happen, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think United has been a weird team like that in the past, where they have exceptional wins like this, and then they kind of go on to not do so well against a lower rated team, and it's always funny to watch that. Yeah. But anyway, we are coming up to the hour mark, so before we wrap up our very first episode of the show, we are going to talk about the matches next week, game week 23, and our predictions for what we think is going to happen. So, first game next Saturday, 24th of January, West Ham are at home to Sunderland. I think, based on the table, Sunderland should win this one. I think, like we said before, Sunderland are doing very well last couple of games, and West Ham are picking up a little bit, but they're still not been spectacular. I could see this being maybe like a 1-0 win for Sunderland, something like that. I don't think it's going to be crazy. I think it could be something kind of tight, especially because Lucas Paqueta is injured for West Ham. He's got a back injury. He is unsure to feature. Maybe not. So I know he's been important for West Ham. With him gone, they could struggle against Sunderland, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, like what I think, I don't know, West Ham with their weird form and Nuno kind of somehow dragging this weird form out of them. I think it might be a 2-2 draw. Because, Sunderland have been bagging in the goals, but I feel like West Ham have just kind of had that weird form about them where I think they'll just somehow claw back something. I just feel like they might go 2-1 down and then draw 2-2.
Yeah. They might. They're still 5 points. The next closest the next closest team to them in the table is Nottingham Forest. They're 5 points between themselves and Nottingham Forest. So they just need a couple wins and a draw or so, and they're out of the zone. So they might realize that as well. You could be right. They might kind of fight back and pull themselves back a win. Who knows? Anyway, next game is Burnley at home to Tottenham. So currently Tottenham are sitting at 14th. Burnley are 19th. Look, Tottenham being 14th, I would usually say that should be an easy game for them. But given the fact that they're 14th, I'm not quite sure that it would be. In their last 5 games, they drew to Brentford and Sunderland, and they've lost to Bournemouth, Aston Villa, and West Ham. It's not a good run of form. Their last win was against Crystal Palace on the 28th of December, and before that in the league, it was the 6th. I cannot see them. They might get like a 1-0 win, or I could see it most likely probably being a 0-0 draw, more likely.
I was going to say the same thing about a draw. I think, Burnley, after drawing with Liverpool and Spurs ended up losing. So I feel like this might be a 1-1 draw maybe, because I know at the start of the season Tottenham bet Burnley 3-0, but they are also a team that has a great start to a season and then crumbles.
Yeah. It also doesn't help that Tottenham have got a long list of injuries. Both teams do. So far, Tottenham are missing Ben Davies, Dejan Kulusevski, James Maddison, Joao Palhinha, Mohamed Kudus, Richarlison, Rodrigo Bentancur, and Javi Simmons. That's a huge part of their starting 11 gone.
And I think, look, Spurs aren't also afraid of getting a red card, and they've shown that already this season, so that's also down to their fault.
So I think overall, I don't think either of us really see either team getting much from this. I think a draw is a fair analysis to make. I think best case scenario, Tottenham coming this with a 1-0 win, but with that many players are starting 11 missing, I can't imagine they'll get much from it. I think at best a 1 or 2-0 win, but I think it's more likely a draw is going to happen, to be honest with you. Next up, we have Fulham are at home to Brighton. Currently, they're both 11th and 12th, 3 points between the two of them. I don't really know much about either team at the moment. I think right now, just checking stats, the last couple of games, Fulham have lost 1-0 to Leeds. They beat Chelsea 2-1, drew 2-2 to Liverpool, drew 1-1 to Fulham, and won 1-0 to West Ham. So decent form, more wins than losses and draws in their last kind of 6 games. So they could pull something from this. Similarly, Brighton 1-1 against Man United. Oh, that was the FA Cup, sorry. The last game Brighton had was a 1-1 draw to City. They beat Burnley 2-0, 2-2 draw to West Ham, 2-1 loss to Arsenal, and a 0-0 draw to Sunderland. Seems they're in similar form. But I think this might be one time in the season where one team kind of crawls, maybe not crawls, but kind of rises above the other. And it looks like Brighton have a lot more, 2 or 3 more injuries than Fulham. So I think I could see Fulham maybe pulling a 2-0 win. I think seems fair. Brighton have 5 players injured at the minute, 5 or 6. So I could see them maybe 1 or 2-0 win for this one, I think.
Yeah, like I think to be honest, like we're recording this before Brighton have played yet, and I really think the game today really determines what way they'll go into next week. Like, because you know, Brighton, I think, are a team that have that form of they'll get a win or a draw, and I think the way Fulham, like they're, I don't know, as I said, they're like a kind of real hit and miss side for most teams, and with them kind of coming off a loss to Leeds, as I said, it determines on tonight's result, but I think Brighton might pull off maybe a 1-0 or a 2-1 victory.
Yeah, I think it's going to be narrow either way, but I mean, either team could win. They're basically level on the table, so either could win, I think, at the moment. But anyway, on to the next one. City are at home to Wolves. I mean, I don't think we need to discuss this one too much.
Yeah, like I guess it's not as like the United game.
No, it's kind of, I mean, okay, in fairness, City are missing John Stones, Gvardiol, Kovacic, Gonzalez, Oscar Bob, Diaz, and Savinho to injuries. They're a good part of the starting 11, which is probably why they had to start such a young back line against United. If they have to start that young back line again, it could be maybe like a 2-1 win for City. But, you know, they still have Erling Haaland fit. They still have Semenyo fit and Cherki and Silva and Rodri. They still have incredible players ready to go. I would be surprised if Wolves came out with anything better than maybe a 2-1 loss or a 1-0 loss. I think City are going to not walk through, but I don't think it's going to be much of a struggle for them, really. I don't think it would be. I mean, just to recap, City are second on 43 points and Wolves are last with 8. Nearly 40 points between the two clubs. So I mean, I think that's an obvious City win. To be honest with you.
Yeah, like I think, I don't know, I'd say after the United game, City are looking to sadly tear someone apart, and Wolves
Wolves are in their sights, sadly.
sadly are the team that are probably going to get it. So I'd say it'll probably be a 4-0 City.
It could be big. Yeah, it could be big. Anyway, on to the next one. Bournemouth are at home to Liverpool. I think this one is probably a pretty obvious Liverpool win. Although their form last couple of games, Bournemouth recently beat Tottenham 3-2 on the 7th of January. They lost 3-2 to Arsenal, drew with Chelsea. They got beaten pretty badly 4-1 by Brentford just before the new year. So, you know, they seem to be sort of on rough form. 3-2 win against Tottenham maybe picked them up a little bit. But I don't really think it's going to do that much. Last couple of games, Liverpool drew 1-1 with Burnley last week. They drew with Arsenal, they drew with Fulham, they drew with Leeds. Their last win was the 27th of December against Wolves. Seems like they're kind of not struggling, but they're kind of missing something to get them through to the end. But I think coming up against Bournemouth might be exactly what they need to get a win. So I can picture this maybe like a maybe a 2-0 win for Liverpool. Especially with Wirtz now picking up his form, I think I could see him being really important for this one for them. I think.
Yeah, like I guess like Brighton, this game is going to determine how Bournemouth are going to go into this week.
Yeah.
With Liverpool just after coming off a draw with Burnley, is it going to be that Liverpool, come out like City and have to smash someone up, or is it that they're going to keep this form of not being able to hit back? And I feel like Bournemouth are a team that, Semenyo's gone now, but I still feel like they probably could pull another draw with Liverpool. So I'll say probably maybe another 2-2 draw.
Okay, that'd be interesting. I think we'll probably fly through the next few, except one of them, just because we're at an hour and 5. I don't want to run too long. Brentford and Nottingham Forest. Brentford are at home to Nottingham Forest. I think this one could be, I don't want to say smooth win, but I don't think Brentford are going to struggle that much. Nottingham Forest are currently 17th. Brentford are currently 7th. Brentford striker Igor Thiago is the second top scorer of the league with 16. So if he keeps performing the way he has been, I think Nottingham Forest could be in real trouble. And if that game does go the way I think it could, and West Ham win their next game, they could close the gap to relegation zone even more. So this win or this game against Brentford could be really, really important for Nottingham Forest. But with the form that Igor Thiago's in, I'm not so sure they'll scrape anything from it. I think, again, it could be maybe a 1-0 win, I think. I think that's what I'm going to say, probably.
Yeah, like I think Brentford have just been in incredible form recently, and it's kind of hard to like go against that. Like I know they've after losing to Chelsea, but this is a Chelsea side also, I guess, starting to find their bit of form back as well. So I think it'll be a 2-1 Brentford.
It could be important to note that before Brentford lost 2-0 to Chelsea, their previous 5 games in the Premier League, 4 wins, 1 draw. And they played Wolves, Bournemouth, Tottenham, Everton and Sunderland. So, as you said, really good form. They could pull something from this. But let's see. Let's wait and see. Next, Chelsea are away to Crystal Palace. I think Chelsea are currently 6th on 34 points. Crystal Palace are 13th. As you said, Chelsea seem to be finding their feet the last couple of games. So I think this could be a good win for them in their last. They're sort of picking up the last 5 games in the league. It's let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 draws, a loss, and a win. So they're in the middle. I think I could probably picture Chelsea maybe pulling a 1-1 draw out of this one. Although Crystal Palace have been pretty... Yeah. Okay, I take it back. 2-0 Chelsea.
I was literally about to say, I was like, Crystal Palace are probably in the worst form ever. And I think Chelsea are getting them at a really good time. And I say it would probably be a 3-1 Chelsea win.
Yeah. Well, if Chelsea win, they could potentially go up to 4th. They're on 34 points. Liverpool are 4th with 36. So if Chelsea win and United and Liverpool lose, they could potentially go up to 4th. So that could be a really important game for them. Moving on, we have Newcastle at home to Aston Villa. As we said, Aston Villa currently 3rd, Newcastle 8th. I think last couple of games, Aston Villa seem to be sort of dropping off a little bit. Their form has not been spectacular. They have, in the last 5 league games, I think they have lost to Arsenal, win against Nottingham Forest, drawn to Crystal Palace, and a lose against Everton, excuse me. Their form seems to be dropping, so I think Newcastle could possibly scrape a win by this one. Newcastle have been on decent form last couple of games. In their last kind of 5 games, again, they have, I think, a draw, a loss, and 3 wins. So I think Newcastle could be favourites for this one. I can picture maybe 2-0 win for Newcastle. I think could be a fair prediction for that one.
I've gone the complete opposite, and I've said a 2-0 win for Villa.
Ooh, Ooh, okay. Let's see. Let's listen back to this in a few days and see what happens. And then on Monday 26th, I'm skipping a fixture, but I'll go back to it on purpose. Monday 26th, we have Leeds versus Everton. So this could be a pretty big game for Leeds. They're just about 8 points clear of the relegation zone. They, of course, want to stay up. They just came out from the Championship last year, as we said earlier. This could be really important for them. If they win, they could go up to 28, which means they could potentially go all the way up to 13th, but they'd have to score like 5 goals. So this could be huge for them. I think Everton have been on decent to mid form the last 5 games. They have, I think, 2 draws, 2 wins, and a loss. So they're doing quite well. But then on the other hand, Leeds games in the last 5 games, they have 3 draws and 2 wins. So it could go either way, honestly. I could nearly picture a draw. I think maybe 2-2 draw is fair. I think something like that is a fair result. That I think both will be happy. The more points Leeds get, I think they'll be happy to stay up. I don't think Everton are going to make a title run or a European run. So
yeah,
I think they'd want the win, but realistically, I don't think it means that much if they get the win, to be honest with you. So I think a draw is a fair result.
Same, yeah. I said a 0-0 draw because I don't know. I just feel Leeds winning 1-0. Everton defensive solid, so
that's true.
I think they'll just cancel each other out, and it'll just be a 0-0.
Yeah. They might, but then again, obviously we have Calvert-Lewin, like you said, scoring, I think, every game for the last 5 or 6 games, so he could be really important for Leeds, but like you said, we'll wait and see. And then finally, what we think is probably the big boy of the weekend, we have Arsenal at home to Manchester United. Wow. This could be important for both clubs. This could be really important. As we said, Arsenal are currently top. They're 7 points clear of Man City. And United are currently 5th with 35. If United win, this brings them up to 4th, assuming Liverpool lose, of course. But I mean, with the last game, if like you said, if Man United show up to this Arsenal game with the form that they had against City, this could be a very interesting result.
Yeah,
very interesting.
I think the thing about it is, I was saying that one of my friends that, Arsenal or United are helping people at the wrong side of the table. And, beating Man City has done Arsenal a favour, and now are we trying to do City and Villa a favour by them beating Arsenal to still bring it back?
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal have been doing incredible recently. In their last 5 league games, they have 4 wins, 3 wins and 2 draws. That's pretty damn good form. And then in United's last 5 games, they have 3 draws and 2 wins. So no losses, which is great, but not very many wins. I mean, with Michael Carrick taking over, there's lots of rumours that Oliver Glasner could be rumoured to take over. Obviously, we know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was snubbed to take over, even as interim coach, ahead of Michael Carrick, who got the job. So will Michael Carrick be in charge in a week? Who knows? Probably with a win that good against Man City a few days ago, I think that the owners of United would be maybe a bit foolish to replace him before the end of the season. Give him 6 months. If he still doesn't want to stay in the main job, fine, look for someone else. But that was a convincing win against Man City, I would say. So if Michael Carrick can pull another masterclass, we might see a surprise to Arsenal. I think, honestly though, I'm still going to predict, I'm going to say 1-0 to Arsenal. Even though Man United were incredible against City, I mean, Arsenal have won nearly every game in their last 5. That's impressive.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, it's kind of hard to judge because United have kind of been given these 2 fixtures at a time that I guess you wouldn't want them, but you also would want them at the same time.
Get them out the way. Yeah,
because at the end of the day, if Michael Carrick now goes on, beats City, beats Arsenal, as you said, at the end of the 6 months, it's would you be worth looking for a new manager?
Yeah,
because I think they were saying on Sky Sports and all. Like, what's the point of bringing him in for 6 months? He gets them European football. They've adapted to his tactics, and next of all, they're throwing a new fella in, and then they have to readapt, and then that might go the opposite way for them.
Might go south. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems, even after, I think Amorim has been gone for a week and a half or 2 weeks. I mean, that is a short time to adjust to someone's tactics, but Man United looked incredible against Man City.
Yeah.
So, you never know. They might surprise Arsenal. They could shock them. Michael Carrick could pull a masterclass out of nowhere. Who knows? But anyway, we'll check back in.
Yeah, it'll probably be a 2-2 because I can't see Arsenal demolishing United, but I also can't see United doing what they did to City again. So I think they'll just cancel each other out for a draw.
Could be possible. I mean, we have to remember as well, City had a lot of their starting backline injured. So that obviously played a huge factor. At the minute, Arsenal just have Max Dowman, Pierre Hincapie and Calafiori out with injury. And last couple of games, I think Arsenal have done pretty well without them. So
their back line
United just have
full strength.
pretty much. And then United just have De Ligt out injured. But again, he's not been at his best the last few years. Never mind a few months.
Yeah.
But you never know. If he comes back healthy, he could be renewed under Michael Carrick. Look, you never know. These players sometimes shine, sometimes they're never change.
Yeah.
Who knows? But anyway, those are our predictions for next game week. We'll check back in with you next week for the same thing. We'll see what our predictions were, see who was right, who was wrong, and we'll be back with you next week to predict the next fixtures, react to what will be this week's fixtures, and looking forward to it. But thank you so much for listening to our very first episode of the Balls and Goals podcast. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. We should be there at either the Balls and Goals Pod or Balls and Goals Podcast. So we should be pretty easy to find. We don't have a crazy name anywhere. If you like what you listen to, please leave a like, leave a subscribe, drop a comment if your platform allows it. Let us know what you thought and let us know what we missed. I mean, sure, we talked about a lot of stuff, but at the same time, I only got to see highlights. I'm sure I missed a lot of information that I didn't say. If I did, call me crazy, let me know, say I'm a terrible person and all that good stuff. So anyway, thank you for listening. Jamie, do you have any words for the people before we check out for today?
All I'm going to say is, guys, this is the first of many, and it's gonna be something special. And I guess, coming in halfway through the season, it's I guess
it's an interesting time to start this.
Yeah. Like, most people start at the start of the season. We're different. We're Balls and Goals. We start halfway through.
Absolutely. And, you never know what you get with the Balls and Goals.
Exactly, and that's what I guess. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Let us know maybe other things that you want us to talk about. If you maybe think at the start, maybe do the results out of the way quicker and bring up news in the centre, you can just, as Ian said, leave a comment, and we'll try and prove this podcast to be the best football podcast of all
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely. And if your platform doesn't allow comments, like for example, I think Spotify is one of the few that does allow comments, and YouTube, of course. If your platform doesn't, like I said, find us on our socials, Balls and Goals Pod, and you can message us there. Let us know what you think about our stuff, and leave 5 stars and stuff. Thank you. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
See you later, guys.